Hey geometry people, welcome to video number 44, more simplification. I hope you want a fast video because if you want a long drawn out video, you're going to look someplace else. Here we go. We're going to first start by reviewing how to simplify square roots. Okay, so we did this in class, just need a little practice. Remember, we use the perfect squares. We break the radical up into a square root, a perfect square part, and a part that's not a perfect square. So perfect squares, the first ones are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, etc. So we got to find what's the largest one that goes into 52. And if no perfect square goes into it, we're done. It's already simplified. But 4 goes into 52. So we write this as square root of 4 times square root of 13. Okay, the square root of 4 we can find. That's 2. So we're left with 2 times the square root of 13. Done. Square root of 92, that's a little bit hard. 4 goes into it. 4 times 23 is equal to 92. If you try 9, 16, 25, those guys don't work. So we'll stick with 4. It's 4 times the square root of 23. Had I been able to use a larger perfect square, I would have noticed that a perfect square went into 23, but it doesn't. So this is as good as we get. 2 times the square root of 23. 150. Ones that end with 25, 50, 75, or 100, you should know that 25 goes into. So it's 25 times 6. It's like $1.50 is 6 quarters. Okay, so this is square root of 25 times square root of 6. Take the square root of 25, you get 5. 5 times square root of 6 is what that simplifies to. 147. That's kind of a big one. If you try 4, it doesn't go into it. 9 doesn't, 16 doesn't, 25 doesn't, 36 doesn't, but 49 does. It's 49 times 3. So we get square root of 49 times 3, which is 7 times the square root of 3. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, we had some of these in class. These have a number multiplying the square root. That's okay, it's no big deal. We still break up the square root, and we just finally multiply the final result by the number in front. Like here, whatever we get for breaking up square root of 20, we're going to multiply it by 6. So I'm going to write this as 6 times square root of 4 times square root of 5. Got 3 things being multiplied. The square root of 4 is equal to 2. So this is 6 times 2 times square root of 5. 6 times 2 I can do. That's 12 times square root of 5. Okay, I showed all the steps. When we're good, we can kind of skip some steps. So this is 4. 9 goes into 63, so square root of 9 times square root of 7. Square root of 9 is 3, so 4 times 3 is 12, and then I have square root of 7, so I skipped this step. Here, 4 goes into 12, so we can write this as 5 times square root of 4 times square root of 3. That's 2. 2 times 5 is 10, so we get 10 square root of 3. Okay, if the number in front is negative, no big deal. Do the same thing. Negative 3. 32 is tricky. You got to realize that 16 is the largest perfect square that goes into it. And that's times 2. So negative 3 times 4 is negative 12 times square root of 2. All right, this guy is happy. He likes this. All right, but what if we have variables? Variables are actually, when you get used to them, easier than numbers. We have to think on this first one, what do we multiply by itself to get x to the 6? Well, it's x to the third, because x to the third times x to the third is x to the 6. Remember, if it has the same base, you add the exponents. So really, when the exponent's even, I just have to divide it into 2. 6 is 3 plus 3. Okay, so x to the third is the answer here. Okay, same thing with this. What do you multiply by itself to get x to the 10th? X to the 5th. And this one, x squared. When it's odd, we're going to do kind of the same thing we did with numbers. We're going to break it up into a part that we can take the square root of, and the part we're stuck with. All right, now, x to the 6th times x to the 1st is x to the 7th. All right, that's how I broke it up. This part we can take the square root of. That part we're stuck with. Square root of x to the 6th is x to the 3rd. And we're stuck with square root of x. Okay. X to the 1 and x are equivalent. Same thing here. I'm going to break this up into 14 and 1. So this is square root of x to the 14 square root of x. That part's x to the 7th. We're left with square root of x. Okay, same thing here. Break it up into an even number, square root of x to the 10th, and square root of x. So I get x to the 5th, square root of x. Okay, variables are easy because I don't have to figure out what perfect square goes into them. All right, here we go. Last slide. There's Pythagoras. We're going to use Pythagorean theorem here. Pythagorean theorem is one of the places that where square roots get used. There are many places they get used. So remember the Pythagorean theorem says if you have a right triangle, it has to be a right triangle, and the legs have lengths a and b and a hypotenuse c, then a squared plus b squared equals c squared. When you square the lengths of the legs and add them, that equals the square of the hypotenuse. So here we go. Let's solve for the hypotenuse. So if I just put in, it doesn't matter which one I let a and b be, so I'll let a be 8 and b be 4 equals c squared. If you do this on your calculator, that's 64 plus 16, you get 80 c squared. Now, what this is saying, I'm looking for a number c that when I multiply it by itself, I get 80. That's the job of square root. So c must be square root of 80. And now we can simplify that. So we can, what goes in there? 16 goes into that. So this is square root of 16 times square root of 5, which is 4 square root of 5. Okay, that's the professional answer. If I wanted a decimal, I could have used my calculator, but we wanted a simplified radical. Okay, let's do this one. This is c. So we have a squared. I'll let this one be a, plus b squared. I'll let that one be b, equals c squared. So 16 plus 36 equals c squared. We get 52 is c squared. So c is the square root of 52. Again, gotta try to simplify. That's square root of 4 times square root of 13. He's already got a beard. I can't draw a beard on him. And that equals 2 square root of 13. You can make him smile a little bit more. All right, cool. Time for the journal. Here you go. The first problems are like the examples. The first two, just simplify those. These are like the second examples we did, group of examples. They got a number in front, so that's no problem. And these are variable ones. Then, just like the last example we did, use the Pythagorean theorem to find c. So I'll just set it up for you. You need 2 squared plus 6 squared equals c squared. So copy the figure in your journal and go ahead and solve for c. All right, good luck. See you in class.